Don't know what you're going to pull out. So today is ketchup week, not mustard week. That was last week. Next week is relish week. We're going to relish in the good content we had. Uh, but this week is catch-up week to get caught up on the content we're writing, the headlines, basically getting our ideas out of our head. And then this week, we're going to be focusing on editing it, revising it. And again, the reason why we want to take it one step at a time is we want to make sure that the design is influenced by the content and not the other way around. And I want to make sure that we get our church's message into our website without the website influencing our church's message, if that makes sense. So, week one, I really wanted you to get your heart out. And then today and this week, we're going to kind of edit it. And I'm going to turn over a few frameworks that we have that we rely on. It's just a simple document. And there's a couple examples in there to start seeing some patterns. And you'll notice the longer we do this, especially when we talk next week and we actually get into design, everything is a pattern. We are creatures of patterns. You just study the Bible and you'll see that we were created following a pattern. I mean, we follow pattern. God follows patterns. He's laid things out for us. I'm not talking about numerology in the Bible, but I am talking about how we were created. And so we create. And one of the things that you'll notice as people create is patterns. And there's certain patterns that people will follow when it comes to creating marketing assets, whether it's the words we use, the cadence we speak with. It's the same thing when we take preaching classes, speaking classes. There are certain things that, you talk about opening yourself up in the physical gestures. And you talk about, following things in three bullet points. You want people to nod their head 3 times when you get to the point. Even in you find a pattern of in speaking as well as like TV and movies. You want to follow that beat of make them laugh and then hit them with the heavy point. Can't remember who it was. It was someone on SNL. Said if you can get someone to laugh, you get them to open up the gates of their heart. And so we have these patterns that we've just kind of been created or nurtured to have. And so I'm gonna go over some of these patterns that we see working in the website um, that uh, that we can use to our advantage to stand out, to capture that attention, and generate curiosity. Actually, take that curiosity, generate interest, and then take that interest and generate action. So, what I want to do is I actually want to take a look. I'm going to take a look at Evan's site because he's the one that I have right now. And then I'm also going to go and look at some other maybe look at some other websites, and then go over some of the frameworks that I'm going to hand over to you. Because I want to double check that we just have like what we want to communicate first, and then we're going to filter it out through clarity. So we're essentially like making the pasta and everything, and we're just going to filter out the pasta water, just leaving what we want to digest. So Evan, do you have your website, anything written or started, even if it's just a page?
Yes, so I've been working on your framework a little bit, but I've already been applying it. So like site is like, because why not, right? So I'm like redoing it live because I can.
Okay.
And it
Okay.
was not, the copy was bad. Um, so you could like pull up the site and see it if that would
Okay.
be the easiest, or
Yeah. Remind me your web address.
bcwc.org.
Sweet. I'm putting on my Clark Kent glasses. All right. Cool. A Christ-centered community where you can be safe, loved, and known. Except for the Oxford comma, which we can debate on. Uh, this is fantastic. I love it. Most copyright. It bugs me to all get out because I'm an Oxford comma guy. I don't know why. It just bothers me. You're invited. Worship on Sundays at 10 a.m. Cool. Plan your visit. Love it. You'll find a church that is committed to Christ-centered living, unbiased hospitality, responsive service, and authentic community. Awesome. 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 Oh, I love that picture. That's cool. Got some affiliations. Follow us on social media. Contact. Cool. All right. Tell me if I get to a page you haven't done.
Should all be anything that's on there should be functional.
Okay, cool. Did you record this week? I don't remember that.
No, that's old. It's
It's
probably a
old?
year old.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. This is cool. All right. So, perfect. So this is a fantastic starting point. I'm really excited to kind of go over a little bit of um revising to this. So, first thing that I notice here is a Christ-centered like this is good. And then I get the you're invited. So, what we want on the headline is to generate that is to basically captivate that curiosity to get people to keep reading. The
Mhm.
headline is your first impression. And I think you've made a positive first impression, a Christ centered community where you can be safe, loved, and known. Okay. Um, so, a couple things safe, loved, and known. Those are heavy words. Some people want to go to church and they don't want to be known, right? They just want to sneak in the back. I'm not sure, whatever. Safe has a lot of connotations, and loved has a lot of connotations. Some people have only experienced negative love, what they would call love, but it's not really what we would call love. And so I think the subheadline here would be expounded upon. I would take out you're invited because, of course, I'm invited. Like you made
Right.
this website because I'm invited. And instead, answer a follow up question that someone might have. So when I hear a Christ centered community where you can be safe, loved, and known, my question is, how do you assure that? How can
Mhm.
you promise that? What does that look like? I would answer one of those questions in your subheadline. So let me ask you, Evan, what is a safe what is a what is that? What does it mean to be safe, loved, and known in your church?
Yeah, so and we and chose those words intentionally in that, and I know that they're heavy.
Mhm.
So known is that known where you say some people don't want to be known, they honestly shouldn't come to our church because we're a small church that's like really
Sweet.
connected. Like literally we hold hands after communion once a month and sing in
Awesome.
a circle. Like we're no like you will if you don't want to be known, don't come here.
My
Because you'll be
church
really
my church did
uncomfortable.
that after on every Sunday after worship. And
Yeah.
yeah, I missed that actually.
I've grown to love it a lot. So known is that people are going to ask who you are. They're going to ask your name. They're going to want to eat brunch with you right after
Okay.
service. They're going to invite you to a meal. We have a brunch after service every week.
Awesome.
Um, Safe. We have a lot of folks who've been kicked out of other churches, who have a lot of church hurt, um, who are afraid of the church because of their past experiences.
Sure.
So we want everybody to know that they're fully welcome as they are, and no one's going to be mean to them.
Mhm.
There's not going to be any surprises. There's not going to be any catches that they learn later on after they've been coming for 3 months. Um, so we want them to know that there's a lot of transparency and not a lot of pressure. And then love fits into that too, where our goal is not to change anybody. The Spirit may do that, but our job is not to change anybody. Our job is to love, and we really take that seriously. Whether you're unhoused or you're dealing with questions about your identity or you're, yeah, been kicked out of a church, like some of our folks. So
Cool.
that's what we're trying to get at. That's way too long for me to
Yeah.
do a subhead, but that's what we're
No,
trying to get
no,
at.
that's great. So the ultimate question is, and the reason why you have to do this, and you would have to pay me $1,000 to do this, is how do you constill all that into one sentence?
I don't know, but I'll work on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, I think there's an idea. The general idea I'm hearing is wherever you are right now, like you can make friends here. That's the general because it's you're safe despite what you may have experienced from other churches. You're
Hmm.
loved despite how you feel about yourself, and you'll be known. Meaning, like to me, that sounds like you won't be ignored. You won't be um um what's the word I was looking for? Lonely almost. And
Yeah.
so what does that look like? How can you just like reinforce that? So if I'm saying either what does that mean or how does that work? That subheadliner continues to nurture that. And so if it was my church and this was my headline, I would sit here and say, a classic is like no matter where you come from or what you've gone through, we want this is a place where you can just be yourself and worship with us on Sundays at 10 a.m. I would even just make that Sundays at 10 a.m. Uh,
Sure.
you could do worship with us on Sundays. Plan your visit. I think that's good. So that's, kind of the thinking. I think your headline is pretty close. I think the sub headline needs to be a little bit there. So that way you don't have to tell me you are invited.
Mm-hmm.
The sub headline will make me feel invited. And
It's
that's
great.
the thing that you can even go to some of the newer folks uh, that have come to your church and say, what's the biggest thing, the biggest reason why you took that first step? And if they're not newer, just say, what's the biggest reason you continue to hang around? And not so much look for the pattern of what people tell you, because you're going to get 10 different answers if you ask 10 different people. But what's the common thread among them? That could also emphasize some of the language you use on your website. And I love that you're like, well, if you want to be ignored, if you just want to be a pew warmer, this isn't your church. Like that's great because we want those people to be served well by those churches that know how to convert that type of person, right?
And there's a lot of them. Yeah.
So that's great. So lean into that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Uh, cool. And then at our church, so a little bit of web splaining here. I
Okay.
know I'm on your website. I clicked the link. I typed it in the web address. I clicked on
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
profile. I know where I'm at. You don't have to tell me at our church, right? That's
Cool.
corporate
Cool.
speak. We call that web splaining. So let's just ignore that. Can I can I be that guy?
Please. I love it.
Well, there we go. Okay, so already cleaning up. Now, we've got this is just a little behind the scenes thing. We've got some words here: safe, loved, and known. And now you're giving me three more. So you're giving
Mm-hmm.
me a 6 point sermon so far, and I've barely scrolled.
Yeah.
I can't even remember a 1 point sermon. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't think Christ-centered living, unbiased hospitality, and responsive service and
Mm-hmm.
authentic community. By now, my brain is tired because you gave me three things. Now you gave me four things. I didn't even count it right the first time. So you'll find a church that is committed to Christ-centered living, unbiased. So you're giving me more things that I have to figure out what that means. And I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
not saying I don't know what it means. I'm saying I have to sit here and think about it.
Yeah.
I think this section needs to be a little bit more on me, the visitor,
Mm-hmm.
rather than you, the church. Because this,
Mm-hmm.
you've told me about you. Now I need to see where I fit in with you. So take those feelings of I don't feel safe, I don't feel loved, I don't feel known, and use this section here to tell me how you understand me. Um, so again, you're speaking more of the church rather than where I can fit into the church or where the church can accept me.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think on what is the another statement that you can use to empathize with that kind of person that you just described when we were talking before. So what is a statement that can be a little bit pulling? So for example, actually let's do no, let's do Orchard Nub. No, they put their pastoral welcome. I don't want to do City Point. There was one that I was looking at this morning. Whose was it? So this one, obviously we're talking to people who feel less than. They have a boot on their neck. They feel like they can't get ahead. So we're empathizing that we know you feel like you don't have a lot, but God can do a lot. Like their whole ministry is like based on the mustard seed verse. Um, was it South Bend? More than a church service. They changed that. I didn't care for that. But what is the oh, that's another good one. Our church. Address whatever is kind of bothering them right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go and I'll have some examples, but you can have some like, you were made for more than this. No matter where you've been, life can get better. I mean, that's a little bit more of a headline, but um, we understand that it's hard to trust people. It's hard to find a good church. Um, and then in this, then you can actually go into how the church addresses that need. But essentially, on the first one, we want them to say, "Oh, okay, that's interesting. This is an interesting church." And then here we want them to say, "Oh, they get me. Like this was they get me. They understand me." So first, I understand the church, and then I feel understood by the church. And then here, this is great for the plan to visit page. I think
Yeah.
we speak a little bit more, a little
Yeah.
less logistical and a little more still on
Hmm.
the idea of the church. Because again,
Yeah.
all we want to do on the homepage is to introduce the church itself. The logistical stuff goes on the plan to visit page.
Yep. Makes sense.
So, and we, it's good to repeat yourself. I don't think we need to repeat ourselves here because again, we want to showcase that we understand them. So actually a good example, even though I don't like the headline, church should be more than a Sunday service. It should be a family gathering. We don't see church as a spectator sport. Everything is geared towards leading you and your family to abide in Christ and what he offers. And same thing if we go to here. So many people want better life, but there's so much standing in their way. Like, yes, this guy gets me. And so we help people live by faith and embrace the word of God. So they can live better, love better, serve better, give better. Right. So we want them to feel understood. So I think we could do some workshopping on that.
Cool. That helps.
Tell me your thoughts behind the affiliations and partnerships and the Instagram.
Yeah, so there's two separate thoughts. So affiliation partnerships are like really important to our church body.
Mhm.
And it also, I know like church marketing says people don't like denominations, and I agree with them. But like it's also really important for like who we are and our identity.
Mhm.
And especially for the Alliance and AWAB, like those are two that the kind of people looking for a church like ours are kind of
Okay.
looking for. And so those are markers. Like a lot of people are finding us through their like network
Mhm.
websites, find a church locators. So these are markers that are saying a lot about who we are
Mhm.
without any words, right? So like if you know anything about these networks, which most people don't, but the ones who do are it's really, really important. So I have them there hoping to be a like signal to those folks. And for everybody else, they don't care, but it's very much part of our DNA.
Okay. And
And then social media, we're just really active on it. And so
mhm.
it allows us, without having to update the website, it just keeps like current things there.
Okay.
So you can see what's going on. So that's why I did it. And there's a website that I like that is like this of a church. So that I just tried to steal it and see how I felt about it.
Okay. And where you have it, it's fine as a secondary call to action. Like, but yeah, let me look more at them. And if you're on mobile, I think this will open up the Instagram app, so then I can just swipe
It
back to
should.
the website.
Mm-hmm.
But on desktop, I don't know if you can make it open up in a new tab.
New tab, I'm sure I
Cool.
could.
All right, let me look at your plan to visit page real quick. So plan to visit, easy, simple, picture of worship. Speaking of pictures, um, this is a tall ask, but a Christ-centered community where you can be safe, loved, and known. And I'm looking at a church building.
Yeah,
So I think you know what needs to happen there. I mean, this is beautiful here. Uh, on the plan your visit page, I've seen this is just a different angle of the worship
same
band.
picture. Yeah.
So if we're gonna do something from Sunday, let's do communion, prayer,
Yeah.
preaching. But ideally, if we're gonna be focusing on being safe, loved, and known, let's show people.
Like that.
It's hard to show safety, but being loved and known.
No, yeah, absolutely. We got
So
pictures of people hugging.
yeah, let's back that up.
Hmm.
And so what to expect, service times, location, and we'll talk about some stuff to fill this out because I think this is where you're going to need a lot more of that logistical information.
Hmm.
Any other page you want me to take a look at?
I don't think so. I mean, I haven't made much changes to the other
Okay.
ones other than consolidating them all. So I have very
Okay.
few. Um,
No, I like it. And you got facility rental here, so
yeah,
I like that. I like that. If this is a high traffic page, I think that's a great way to do it.
cool.
let's see. The only other thing I might change is I would replace these icons, the social media icons, put these in the footer, put another plan a visit button right up here.
Oh, okay.
That
Cool.
way, anywhere I'm at, it's like, okay, serve. Actually, it's funny you got it there. But I'm like, oh, this is beautiful people. And it's like, okay, well, let me click here and plan a visit. Like it's just constantly following you around. I like
Cool.
the blessing box. That's cool too.
Big part of who we are.
Yeah. Couple of things that are missing that maybe you're just not there.
Hmm.
Testimonials are going to be huge
Yeah.
here. Um, I think we have something like this on our website because I think we had the same thought. No, I put it on the about page, I think. Yeah.
And part of it's just like me being biased and hating churches that hide all this stuff. Like I'm really aiming for clarity.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Um,
Cool.
so I think that works. And yeah, so obviously if I don't feel comfortable at other churches, I see a big rainbow. What do you call that thing in the back? It's
The
the cross
the
is a
per-
rainbow. What do you call the thing in the
yeah,
back?
whatever that. I don't know.
Okay. I didn't know if it had a name.
Yeah.
Um, cool.
Yeah.
And
But that logo is going to either tell people yes or tell people no
yeah. Yeah.
quickly, which helps us.
Yep.
But we also don't want to make the whole front page because our identity is not that. And that's where we
No,
have
I
this.
think that's a great balance. My only other caution on the social media is we have an overabundance of information here.
Yeah.
So you're telling me 8 things and only th th 3 of them are actual people.
Yeah.
So that's just a little. I'm always going to favor static websites because things like this can change. Like some people will just put their Google reviews on their
Yeah.
website, and then
That's scary.
it is more of a business thing. But then a 1-star review gets automatically shown because you're not allowed to filter that out. So just be cautious of that.
Yeah.
You don't want this to become like an announcement section because then why would
Sure.
I follow you?
Hmm.
Um, all right, cool. So let me go into um, the frameworks here because I think this will help you fill some of this out. And I should have just opened up a new thing. So I realized something that I should have done a while ago because I kept saying, refer to your planner. What's the one thing you want people to remember about your church? Well, for all intents and purposes, that's your church website's theme. It's not your church theme. It's not your mission statement, but it's kind of the number one thing we want to keep reminding people because we want them to remember that. Because if I leave your church website and I'm like, okay, well, it's down to this church or this church, I want it to be more than, well, this church meets at 10 or 11, and this church meets at 11. Like that's a logistical thing. But when it comes to recognizing the church that's right for my family, what is the one thing I want them to remember? Well, this church, they seem to really actually care about, knowing who we are and accepting who we are, or, not kicking us out like that other church did, whatever it might be. They seem at least uh, caring of who we are and not what we give, right? Maybe that's where their church hurt comes from. So I like that you have that theme. Now we want to keep reinforcing it, and you'll see as we go through some of these frameworks, how we're going to reinforce that. So these are our homepage headline options. Like I said, I think yours is good, Evan. I would write a couple more just to see maybe how any of them sound. So there's 2 ways to do your homepage headliners. You can do your key theme, which should be it, and then or you could focus on the negative. Usually, the negative we want to focus at the end. Let me actually pull up um, the copy doc as well. Oh, it's this one. So on the homepage, we've got the headline, subheadline. Okay, we got that. We got the empathizing headline. 3 big ministries. Evan, you didn't have that, but maybe you're just not there yet. That's fine. Testimonials, we want to have what people are saying. Um, what to expect in 3 steps. We want the secondary call to action, like Evan, that was your Instagram. And then last call urgency headline. This is usually like what I mean, what when I refer to um, headlines focused on the pain point, that's a good like final call to action. It's almost like a last effort when they get to the bottom of the homepage. Hey, we want you to do something here. So that's what the negative headlines are great for. But just a couple of frameworks that we rely on, we use a lot. In fact, you just saw it in several of the websites that I showed you. There's the two sentence contrast: show the pain, show Jesus. So life is hard, Jesus is easy. In times of doubt, faith brings clarity. That's one from a client who was like, "What's the one thing you want them to remember?" And it's like, no matter how what they doubt themselves or how anxious they are, faith is the only cure all. They need faith to have clarity of mind, and so we workshop that a lot. Life hurts, God heals. And then experience is a good one. A lot of churches like to use that. Just what are they going to experience? Hope and peace, faith and community. Uh, be safe, be loved, be known. No, that's just three things there. Um, Focus on the transformation. That's a little bit of what you have, Evan. Hope and healing can be found here. This is where you can be safe, loved, and known. So I think that's great. And then discover is kind of the same thing. We don't want to we in marketing we joke that learning is boring and hard, but discovering is fun. So I guess same thing about experience. So anytime you want to say learn about us, discover is a good word. You'll hear a lot of like new member classes called Discover Our Church. Um, and then you have pain point headlines, and these are good for like the end. We have ours at the bottom. If you haven't found what you're looking for when you're looking for a church family, you shouldn't feel constantly burdened, discouraged, and beat down. Right. So it's good to end it on a negative on the homepage, just because it's like we're reminding them what we're going to help them, or actually Jesus is going to help them break or escape through the church. So for the negative headlines, you can do the without faith without fear, faith without judgment, church without baggage, or you can just go straight up, just call out the feeling. Are you feeling overwhelmed? You can find relief in God's word. Are you feeling lost? You can discover your purpose with us. Are you feeling hopeless? God's not done with you yet. So those are a couple ways a couple of headlines that you can do. And then the subheadline, again, is where you expand upon that idea. Um, so it's time to stop going through your day to day wondering about purpose. Join us this Sunday to discover your purpose. The same thing here: live better and love better. No matter where you are, God can do a lot through you. That's the main theme of the site. So these are a few ideas to get you started. You'll notice that all of our headlines are between 3 and 7 words. That's just, again, a pattern. It's a pattern. If you can nail something down in 3 to 7 words, like, you're gonna get people to keep reading because they'll feel like they haven't really read that much. It's one of those things where you ever look at something and look away and you know what it said, even though you didn't sit there and read the sentence. You just kind of glanced at it and you're like, how did I recognized all of that? So that's kind of a good test, is if you go to a church website, can you blink, close your eyes, and then remember everything that it said? If not, it was probably too long of a headline. There is a place for those, but for general website traffic, we want to try to keep it 7 words and under. A little bit of a tall order for you, Evan. It's a little bit more advanced. Um, if anything, because a Christ-centered community, I almost never want to take that out. I think we actually use something like that on TSH. No, Meet Bethel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8-ish. Maybe it's Meet Bethel. No, that was their old site. Their old site said Christ-centered community.
Mm.
Okay. So that's a little bonus. That's a little bit more advanced. If we were to do an advanced copywriting session, we would talk about that more. All right. Headline alternatives. These are just like a swipe file. Instead of saying our ministries, like here, ministries for the whole family. So these are a few ideas just to get you thinking, explore our ministries, discover our ministries, find a place for your family, get involved, connect through our ministries, find new friends. Um, what to expect when you have a what to expect page. Actually, Meet Bethel has a great one. Your journey starts here. right? Because they want you to come to a community event first, then come to worship, then come to a new members class. You can take that out of order, but ideally that's kind of how they want to meet you. So then on Sunday, it's not your first time seeing us. And then of course they want you to do a new members class before you join the church. Um, and then plan a visit headlines, just plan a visit, what to expect, plan your next visit. Join us this Sunday, what to expect your first visit. Very simple, very quick to do. Um, on your plan your visit page. So this is cool. If you want, you can do an FAQ or consider just making sure that you have these questions answered, these common questions answered. So where should I park? What should I wear? Is childcare provided? How long does service last? This is a big one. We're still collecting data, but a pattern that we recognized is the number of clicks when we describe what service is like. So what's a recent one we did? Was it TS? Is it True North? So this isn't an FAQ specifically, but it's really answering the question: what do I wear? How do I get in? What's for dinner? Because this church has dinner. Uh, what's worship like? And then obviously, what do you have for the kids? So just something a little bit more. I think you could have a little bit more information here. We've got the location. I would actually put the location and service time right at the top, and we've got more web explaining here. Like, I know you're glad. You don't have to tell me that.
Cool.
Um, here's everything you need to know. Yeah, I would just nix this entirely.
Cool.
Actually, you know what I would do? I would, this sounds like a great message from the pastor.
Okay.
Put your family here, and I got some examples that you can look at. So anyway, so FAQs should be on the plan of visit page. And I say that because we were looking at some churches nearby us, and I'll show you two of them that I can remember. Champions, Forest, Klein. And Klein UMC. These are some churches around us. And okay. So I'm trying to find a plan. I'm trying to find the page we're on that was like, what do we what's on Sunday? Where do we go? When do we go? Okay. Anyways, so we've got join us Sundays, times, directions. Great. We've got a nice, pretty welcome video ready to visit. We've got a plan a visit thing. I think this goes to the form. Okay. So this is good, but it's missing a few things. Number one, it doesn't tell me what worship is like. So we're kind of like, well, what do we, I don't know, what does that look like? It's kind of a larger campus. I don't know if it has parking information. So, again, if I asked the worship pastor, hey, what's worship like? He would probably tell me, and it wouldn't be what this says. So either a video of what worship is like or just an explainer of what worship is like. A really good example that I'm proud of that we're still working on, but because this is a very I don't remember what you call it, free spirit church. Yep. So we do singing, dancing, you use all the spiritual gifts, um, unique ways each individual. So just having something like that for this church, just again, it helps that quote unquote stick rate. So if they're not comfortable with this, they won't come in person, but that's good because if they came in person, they wouldn't come back. And we're just adding to past church experiences. So I would do a description of what church service is like as well. So yeah, service times and location up top. and then just be sure to answer these questions. So I would do a welcome from the pastor. I didn't want to copy all this, so I just took screenshots. Um, again, just hey, welcome. You're invited. Glad you're coming. Call it whatever you want. And then I think you can really, Evan, lean into the problem solution transformation. So go more into, what do we believe? What do we want to see? How are we different? What can our church do that no other church has done? And what will life be like on the other side? Um, and that can take, you could probably take a lot of this and use that there. And the leadership page, I don't know, did you have a leadership page, staff page? Cool. I like that. He loves good books. Oh, you got the Bible on your staff? That's cool. Kidding. All right. So for the leadership page, I think it's pretty close. Title should be easy to understand. If you have unique titles, some people, some churches have unique titles. It helps to just say, what it is you do. So, not picking on you, but like if someone didn't know bell choir director, what does a bell choir director do? I don't know, just a thought. But this is like one example I remembered. We had a director of local outreach. What does that mean? Well, I'm in charge of partnering with the local organizations. How does that go to be safe, loved, and known? You tie it back to there. Um, and then I like to have the relatable things. For me, I just do a checklist for our clients, but you can do it like you did, Evan. I think that's cool. In fact, that was the first thing I saw. Pastor Evan is committed, blah, blah, blah. He loves good books, Pittsburgh sports. Okay, I can relate to that. I didn't read any of this stuff in the middle. Most people won't. And then I included some forms. This is our leadership form. Uh, Anyone that wants to be on the website, we require them to fill this out, and this gets that information that I recommend. So obviously, you don't have to put what church or department you're with, but why do you love to serve at this church? Um, how do you help others? For your example, Evan, um, be safe, be loved, be known. What are some of your hobbies? And then any pages, any ministries that want a page to make it easy, we give them this form, and it's just more of the same. It helps you kind of develop that website content for the ministries. All right. Any questions? I'll share that document. I don't think I've shared it yet. So Evan, on your homepage, I think the biggest thing is the subheadline. That whole second section needs to be more empathizing, and the testimonials. I think the testimony, anyone the affiliations don't resonate with or it doesn't mean anything for, I think the testimonials will capture their attention. Does that sound like fair? Okay. Let's see here. And Evan, I think on yours, I think it ended prematurely. I would definitely still include either the three steps. So, hey, first we want you to visit on Sunday. Then we want you to connect with this. Then we want you to, I don't know, join the church, live free, whatever it is.
Cool.
And then I think we need that last outro. So you ended with the contact. I'm already checked out. I'm either going to start
Yeah.
poking around or I'm going to back out. So I think if we end with that last call urgency headline and section, I should really give these sections a name. Um, but that it's like just reminding them of what's at stake. Like, hey, you don't have to live this way anymore. I think that's going to be another game changer to get more people clicking over to the plan a visit.
Cool.
Yep. All right. Any thoughts? Anything else? Any other questions? Any other like, hey, we're missing this. I just tried to grab all the frameworks that we have in our SOP and I just brought them over into here, including those forms. Um, any other questions or anything you're like, I think I'm still unclear about whatever. All right, cool. Well, for the rest of this week, your assignment is to finish the content. If you want to be an overachiever like Evan and just do it live, cool. For small churches, you don't have the traffic to really make much of a difference. But really, again, the focus of the first week is just to get your heart on paper. And then this week we're focusing on let's clarify the words. So use the frameworks to, and there's nothing wrong with writing multiple headlines. In fact, every time we write three headlines, 2 to 3 headlines, and then we'll pick two, and then we'll pick one. Very rarely do we turn over two headlines to the client. We just pick one and run with it. Um, if you have a lot of traffic, if you're at a larger church, you can split test, but that's more advanced than what we're talking about here. Um, so going through the rest of the site, and then next week we'll actually start at the design. So if you are doing it live like Evan, you may be like, oh, this doesn't look good. That's okay. We'll make it look good next week, because all we're going to be doing next week is talking about design theory. Like everything is a block inside of a column, inside of a section. That's it. Once you figure that out, there's only so many combinations you can make, and then you can actually make it look pretty from there. So we're focusing on the content right now, but next week we'll talk about the design, and making it super simple, especially when it comes to next week. We're just doing the homepage. That's your first impression. Um, it's a little bit counterintuitive than the church, right? I think when you build a church, you spend the most time on the sanctuary, and then everything else becomes secondary. On the website, it's the opposite. We want to spend the most time on the front door, the homepage, and then everything else kind of just follows that theme. Also, you'll figure out once you build everything on the homepage, the rest of the pages you're just kind of duplicating sections and just modifying it a little bit, so it goes a lot faster. So we'll talk about that next week. Any questions? Put them in the group chat. I'll make sure to keep digging through different frameworks that we might have that might turn up, and I'll get those on the document as well. But the goal is by the end of this week, have all the content done, finalized so far, so we can start putting it into the site live, or so Evan can start making adjustments to the design live.
Already doing it.